What looked like another beautiful Saturday afternoon in one of Sydney's most popular shopping centres was about to take a turn for the worst in a matter of minutes. 18 to be exact. All because of a disturbed man who forever changed the lives and fates of many. With seemingly no clear motive or trigger, what unfolded will forever be etched as one of Australia's worst cases of mass stabbings. Hello everyone, my name is Vander and welcome to Vander Explains. Today, we will be taking a deep dive to cover a relatively recent event. What transpired was gruesome to say the least. But I specifically made this video to also highlight and share the stories of the individuals and their families who had their lives mercilessly taken or changed in some sort of way. So without further ado, let's get started. It was the morning of April 13th, 2024, the first day of school holidays. Families, friends, and shoppers were ready to spend their day in Bondi Junction, one of Sydney, Australia's busiest eastern suburbs. It was the peak of autumn and temperatures were in the low 20 degrees, an afternoon with perfect conditions to go shopping. It started off no different and nothing was amiss. Shoppers and passers-by were eagerly awaiting for the shopping center doors to swing open, marking the start of a new day. As the clock struck 9:30, the mall security greeted the onlookers with a smile, welcoming them to Westfield Bondi Junction. Everyone had similar intentions, to enjoy their day, browsing or shopping from the various retailers available. All but one man, a troubled individual with a clouded mind and malicious intent. At around 10 a.m. in the morning, this man was seen pacing back and forth around the mall vicinity, before deciding to visit Saigon Noodle, a Vietnamese eatery in the area. He was trying to purchase a bowl of red chicken curry, but when the staff member asked him to pay for the meal, he told them that he had no money, so he left. The staff member thought of it odd but did not put too much attention to this incident. 2.5 hours passed with no reported sighting of the strange man. But then, at around 12:30, he was seen re-entering Saigon Noodle, this time with just enough money to get himself the very same meal. He paid, sat down, ate his meal, and left straight after. His whereabouts were unknown again for roughly another 2.5 hours, before he was seen entering the Westfield shopping center at around 3:10 p.m. He was wearing a Kangaroos sports jersey, some shorts, and also carried around a backpack. After only a few moments inside, he stepped out of the shopping center once again. Seemingly with indecision in his mind, he then bolted back inside at around 3:20 p.m. and can be seen behaving erratically, moving swiftly from one place to another. The situation was quickly unfolding as more and more onlookers started to notice the odd behavior of the distressed man. He began to rush to the elevators and traveled up to the 4th floor, and this was when all hell broke loose. Out of the blue, he dropped his backpack on the ground, pulled out a 12-inch hunting knife, and began to threaten bystanders around the vicinity. He charged, chased, and made slashing threats right in front of their faces. He stabbed his first victim just in front of Sourdough Bakery Cafe, which at the time was packed with customers enjoying their afternoon meal. He lunged forward, thrusting the knife at some shoppers, while seemingly ignoring others. This immediately caused panic amongst the crowd. People started to frantically run and scream, while others started to call 000. Upon receiving reports and calls, emergency services were quickly making their way to the shopping center. All the while, the man had already stabbed multiple people, making his way from the cafe to a group of people in front of Cotton On, Chanel, and Country Road. Parents, children, and shoppers who couldn't make it out to the exit rushed inside of shops as they locked their doors and brought down the shutters. People were both confused and terrified, trying to figure out what had happened. Blood started to splatter on the floor. Victims can be seen lying down in pain. The screams of shoppers echoed throughout the entire building. People were running, calling their loved ones, recording footage of the incident while trying their best to make it out alive. The rampage continued as the assailant moved north past Chanel. Two security guards who heard the screams and commotion headed south to confront the men. Not realizing he was armed, Both guards stood too close to his reach and were stabbed on their torsos. One had managed to radio for help as the assailant moved east, seemingly to try to go back down to level 3. He was stopped, confronted by civilian Damien Guerreau, dubbed the Bollard Man, who obstructed his path for a little while. The man ditched his plan and went back up to level 4, and decided to make his way up to level 5. Around a minute after he went to the level 5, police officer Amy Scott arrived on the scene. She quickly made her way to level 5 with some guidance from bystanders, while people on the 5th floor were still unaware of the carnage that unfolded right beneath their feet. They only began to flee in terror when a blood-stained assailant was seen running towards them. The man still made attempts to lunge and slash at more civilians, and people can be seen frantically scrambling for safety. Amy Scott and a few other people, including the Bollard Man, was in quick pursuit and closed the distance to the assailant as he began to turn the corner. Amy brandished her weapon and started to call out for the man to drop his weapon. Instead, with blood-soaked rage, he lunged towards her, and Amy swiftly dispatched 3 shots. Now laying on the ground, she alerted to the rest of her team via radio and began to perform CPR. After the 3 shots, everything was dead silent, eagerly awaiting the outcome of this ordeal. The man was pronounced dead on the scene, and he was quickly identified as being 40-year-old Joel Cauchi. 7 lives were lost during the incident, including Joel, and 12 others injured. All this transpired within a time frame of 18 minutes, the most horrific 18 minutes of those who were present that day. But who was Joel Cauchi, and what exactly was his motive? Joel was a 40-year-old man from Queensland who regularly took trips around New South Wales. It was unclear what he was doing in Sydney, but media was quick to rush to the scene to cover the story. Coincidentally, Joel's parents saw the news unfolding in Sydney and came forward to the media to report that the man they saw on the news might have been their son. To their horror, it was quickly verified and confirmed that it was in fact their son. Ever since then, Mr. and Mrs. Cauchi have been openly cooperating with law enforcement, detailing Joel's life as a troubled teen and how he slowly but surely lost touch with the world. They reported that Joel was diagnosed with a mental illness, believed to be schizophrenia, since the age of 17. However, little is known as to what has been done to keep his sanity in check. He had an estranged fascination over knives, and was also constantly frequenting social groups online to find friends and to get close to women. He had quite a few run-ins with law enforcement back in Queensland, due to the reports of his unstable mental condition, living and sleeping outside of private properties, though nothing violent ever transpired. His motives were unclear, but it is quite interesting that he chose to target women and can be seen avoiding or running away from men during the entire ordeal. Maybe it was his expression of dislike towards women, or his inability to find a partner throughout his life. Whatever the reason was, it still did not change the fact that he harmed and took the lives of those people that day. And I can't say that he did or didn't deserve the outcome that had happened. Now that we have some semblance of who the assailant was, I wanted to share the most important aspect of this case, to tell the untold story of the 6 innocent lives lost that day. Vikriya Darsha, a Georgian artist, designer, and widow, leaving behind 2 of her sons and 3 beautiful granddaughters who all loved and adored her. Her son Irakli was on the phone with her just 10 minutes before the horrific event transpired. She was telling him that she was going to enjoy her afternoon grabbing a coffee with her friend. In an interview with media, her son Irakli described his mother as being compassionate, as well as all about giving joy to others. She lived her life to the fullest and reveled with pride over her amazing sons and beautiful granddaughters. They all loved her, and as did her friends and those lucky enough to have known her. Jade Young, architect, loving wife, and mother of 2 who went shopping that day in Bondi with her 9-year-old daughter. Jade was looking to get a present for a birthday party happening the following day. Her presumably her daughter's friend. Her 9-year-old daughter knew something has gone wrong when her mom made a twisted, ugly face while lying on the ground. She sighed in agony and uttered a final breath while holding her daughter right next to her. Jade was described to be a splendid architect, loving friend, a gentle, soft-hearted mother, and a fabulous daughter. She leaves behind her husband Noel and their 2 young daughters. This story was taken from a eulogy given by Jade's mother Elizabeth, who spoke powerfully during Jade's memorial. Elizabeth and her husband have vowed to be ever present in their son-in-law's and granddaughter's lives now more than ever. She wanted the story shared so that the world knew what they just lost. Faraz Tahir, a former refugee just starting to establish a life in Australia. He lost his parents at a young age, fled Pakistan, and eventually ended up in Australia looking to start a new life. Struggling to find a job in Brisbane, he decided to go to Sydney to look for more opportunities. Took a course to become a security guard and finally landed his first job at Westfield Bondi. He came to Brisbane to let the rest of his family know that he has gotten his security license and was excited to start work. He came back to Sydney shortly after and started his shift on that fateful day. He was one of the guards together with Mohammed Taha, who confronted Kauchi on level 4. Both were stabbed, and sadly, Faraz did not make it. It was his first job and his first shift as mall security. With high hopes in a new promised land, he sadly leaves us. Ashley Good, mother of young 9-month-old baby Harriet and a wife to loving husband Dan Flanagan. Just hours before her stroll in Westfield Bondi, she posted an image on Instagram with a caption, 9 months out versus 9 months in. She detailed her story of what it felt embarking on motherhood and sharing her indescribable love she had for Harriet and her husband. She had just came back from maternity leave, looking to reestablish herself as a working professional. On that fateful day, both she and Harriet were stabbed by Kauchi. But as eyewitness accounts describes, she heroically shielded Harriet from the onslaught and took the brunt of the damage before she handed Harriet off to passersby for help. This was what saved little Harriet's life, as she now has to traverse the world without a mother. Dan and a few loved ones describe Ashley as a beautiful mother, daughter, sister, partner, friend, and all-round outstanding human. Dawn Singleton, daughter of millionaire entrepreneur John Singleton, and fiancée of loving partner Ash. She was not just given things in life, she was shown and told to go through the grind. She was a social and digital media graduate who recently started working as an e-commerce assistant at White Fox Boutique. She had a beautiful relationship with her childhood sweetheart Ashley Wildy. They were both meant to get married later this year. One of her best friends, Jade, said that Dawn just got her wedding dress just a week before the entire tragedy. Dawn was in Bondi that afternoon, shopping to buy makeup for her upcoming nuptials. She is described by many as a person who embodied love and always spoke with words of kindness. She lit up every room that she walked into. And finally, Yixuan Cheng, a Chinese international student undertaking her master's degree of economics in the University of Sydney. She leaves behind her family and fiancé Mr. Wang in China, who regularly keeps in touch with her throughout her studies. Yixuan had just finished taking several exams and was on her way to Bondi to treat herself and shop for some clothes. Just minutes before the rampage occurred, Mr. Wang was sharing messages with Yixuan, asking him which clothes fitted her best. They chatted a few more moments before the conversation ended. Moments later, Mr. Wang was alarmed when he heard the news about stabbings that occurred in Westfield Bondi. After hours trying to contact her, throughout the day and night not hearing a word, it was hard for him not to fear for the worst. 24 hours later, on April 14th, names were finally being released, and to his horror, Yixuan was named amongst the fallen. Though I am never going to be able to depict their full lives, I hope by sharing this story with all of you, we can raise awareness, remain vigilant, and remember to always be kind to one another. I hope that we did our part by sharing this video and be better human beings one step at a time. Our prayers are with the families and loved ones. May the fallen rest in peace, and may the families and survivors find solace for the remainder of their lives. Thanks again for joining me in yet another video. Today's video is one that is quite tough for me to share. Trying to find the balance between doing the families justice, still be informative and entertaining, but also to spark conversations wasn't an easy task. Let me know what you think of this case and comment down below on why you are grateful to be where you are today. In any case, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Leave a like and leave your comments below. For now, this is Vander, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one.